Welcome back to Daily Decode, the channel where we peel back the layers of today's biggest stories and break them down to uncover the truth beneath the headlines. If you love deep dives, powerful stories, and unexpected twists, you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss one of our daily decodes. Today, we're diving into a story that's been making waves online, one that involves JD Vance, Denzel Washington, and a surprising moment that's left people talking about power, race, class, and the unexpected lesson that changed everything. It's not every day you see a best-selling author and senator try to shame one of America's most respected actors, only to be shut down by an unexpected voice of reason. But that's exactly what happened, so sit back and let's decode exactly how this moment unfolded and why it's striking such a nerve right now. First, a bit of context. JD Vance, author of the controversial memoir Hillbilly Elegy, built his brand on being a voice for working-class white America. His story of growing up in a poor Appalachian family and rising to attend Yale Law School turned him into a media darling for a while. But along the way, Vance has made some controversial remarks and political moves that have left many questioning his authenticity. Some see him as a champion for the forgotten working class. Others see him as an opportunist who shifted his views to win political favor. Meanwhile, Denzel Washington has spent decades building a legacy as one of Hollywood's most respected and talented actors. But he's more than just an actor. He's an icon known for his dignity, his refusal to be typecast, and his unshakable sense of self-respect in an industry that hasn't always offered that to black actors. For years, Denzel has spoken out about what it means to carry yourself with integrity, to stay grounded, and to uplift others around you. So when these two figures crossed paths in an unexpected debate, people paid attention. That all started when JD Vance gave a lecture at a university. The topic, the so-called cultural decline of America's working class. During the lecture, he pulled up an old interview clip of Denzel Washington, speaking about how fatherhood and family are the keys to fixing communities plagued by poverty and crime. In that clip, Denzel talks about how he believes the absence of fathers is a bigger problem than any government policy can fix. He says if young men had fathers in the home, a lot of cycles of violence and poverty would break. It's a view Denzel has shared in different ways over the years, a belief that personal responsibility and family structure matter deeply. JD Vance decided to use this clip to make a point, but not in the way you might think. Instead of praising Denzel's insight, he used it to shame him. Vance argued that Denzel's view ignores the real systemic issues hurting poor communities, especially white working-class ones like those Vance claims to represent. He told the audience that celebrities like Denzel love to preach personal responsibility, but never stick around to see the real struggles. He mocked Denzel for, as he put it, lecturing people from his mansion and accused him of being out of touch with the people he claims to care about. For a moment, the room fell silent. Some students nodded along. Others looked uncomfortable. That's when something unexpected happened. A professor sitting in the back raised his hand. This wasn't just any professor. He was a well-respected sociologist known for his research on race and class in America. He calmly asked to respond. Vance gave him the mic, probably thinking he'd get an easy agreement from an academic who understood systemic poverty. But what happened next flipped the entire room. The professor started by saying he understood Vance's point. Yes, systemic issues matter. Yes, policy failures, deindustrialization, and economic neglect have hurt working-class communities, white and black alike. But then he turned the tables. He asked Vance if he really believed that Denzel Washington, of all people, didn't know struggle. He reminded the audience that Denzel didn't grow up in Hollywood mansions. He grew up in Mount Vernon, New York, in a working-class family. His father was a Pentecostal minister. His mother owned a beauty parlor. Denzel has often talked about how he saw both hardship and hope up close. He worked his way up with discipline and focus. He didn't inherit fame, he built it, brick by brick. Then the professor went further. He asked Vance if he'd ever considered that. Denzel's message about fatherhood wasn't an excuse to ignore policy, but a reminder that policy alone isn't enough, that without strong families, strong communities, and personal responsibility, no amount of government help can solve everything. The room went silent again, but this time for a different reason. You could feel the tension break as students leaned in. Some started clapping softly. JD Vance tried to interject, saying he wasn't dismissing fatherhood but wanted to emphasize economics. The professor didn't let him off the hook so easily. He pointed out that too often, people like Vance used cultural decline as a political weapon. They blame immigrants, minorities, or coastal elites. But they don't talk about how entire industries abandoned towns, how corporations profited while workers were left behind, how policies gutted unions and workers' rights, and in the same breath, they mock voices like Denzel's that talk about self-accountability because it's easier to score political points than to tell people hard truths about both sides of the issue. What happened next surprised everyone. A student in the front row, who had been quiet the whole time, raised her hand. She told the story of how Denzel's words about fatherhood inspired her own father to reconnect with her. After years of absence, she said that clip changed her life, not because it magically fixed everything, but because it made her father think twice about what being present really means. The room broke into applause. For a moment, it didn't matter who was left or right, black or white. It was about truth, plain hard, complicated truth. The story of JD Vance trying to shame Denzel Washington might have ended there as just another viral moment, but it says something bigger about where we are today. We live in a time when people are quick to shame, quick to divide, quick to turn every conversation into a battle of blame. But sometimes, all it takes is one calm voice, one brave question, or one honest story to cut through the noise. That's what this professor did. He reminded everyone that the real answers don't live on one side of the aisle or the other. They live somewhere in the messy middle, where personal responsibility and systemic change have to coexist. In the days after that lecture, the clip started circulating online. Some people praised the professor for standing up. Others called JD Vance's remarks out of touch. A few tried to twist the whole exchange into more political talking points. But what stood out most wasn't the arguments, it was the way people kept coming back to the young woman's story. A story about how a simple message about fatherhood sparked real change in her life. A story that proved that what celebrities say can matter if they say it with honesty and if people listen with open hearts. Denzel Washington never responded directly to JD Vance's comments. He didn't have to. His track record speaks for itself. For decades he's mentored young black actors, donated millions to scholarships, supported countless community projects, and walked the walk when it comes to giving back. He once said in an interview that his life's work isn't just about movies, it's about lifting people up, one by one. Maybe that's why people respect him so much. He doesn't just talk. He does. What makes this story so powerful is that it holds up a mirror to all of us. It asks us what kind of country we want to be. Are we going to keep pointing fingers and tearing each other down? Or are we going to find the courage to hold two truths at once? That poverty is real, that systemic neglect is real, and that personal responsibility, family, and community still matter deeply. It's easy to take shots from the cheap seats. It's harder to step into the arena and do the work. Denzel Washington has done the work. That professor in that lecture hall did the work when he spoke up. And maybe, just maybe, more of us can do the work by asking tougher questions, having harder conversations, and listening for the parts of the story that don't fit neatly into hashtags and headlines. So what can we take away from this unexpected moment? Maybe it's that shame doesn't build bridges, truth does. Maybe it's that it's okay to challenge each other's ideas, but it's not okay to twist someone's message just to score points. Maybe it's that real change happens not when we shame people into silence, but when we open space for deeper truths to come out. Don't think about it. A senator, an actor, a professor, and a student each played a part in this story. Each reminded us that America's biggest debates aren't just about policy or politics. They're about who we are when the lights go off and the cameras stop rolling. They're about whether we believe in each other enough to say the hard things and to hear them. If this story left you with something to think about, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think JD Vance was right to criticize Denzel's message, or did he miss the bigger picture? Do you believe more people need to speak up like that professor did? And what about the students' story? Do you think celebrity words really can change lives? Here at Daily Decode, we believe the world is more complicated than a Semite. We believe that truth lives in the gray areas where people are willing to listen, debate, and learn. So,